Right now, somewhere in a data broker's server farm, your name, your address, your date of birth, and your old passwords are sitting in a file that costs less than a cup of coffee to buy. That file is the raw material for an attack that doesn't touch your phone at all. It doesn't need your phone. It just needs your phone number. Here's what that actually means for you. The number attached to your bank account, your email, your two-factor codes can be moved to a stranger's device without your phone ever leaving your pocket. That's the two-word trigger for this video. Number theft. Not phone theft, number theft. And once that number moves, everything tied to it moves with it. Let's build this from the ground up. Breach to broker to swap to drain. Because every one of those 4 steps is a separate system, and most people only ever hear about the last one. Think of a data breach as a warehouse getting robbed, except the warehouse is a company's customer database, and the thing stolen isn't cash, it's records. Names, emails, phone numbers, sometimes partial account numbers. That breach doesn't stay contained. It gets sold, traded, and aggregated on forums that specialize in exactly this kind of inventory. A data broker is simply a company whose entire business model is collecting and reselling personal information, sometimes legally through licensed data sharing agreements, and sometimes through breach dumps that get folded into larger identity profiles. Companies like LexisNexis, Epsilon, and Axiom operate in the legal end of this industry, aggregating consumer data for marketing and verification purposes. But underneath that legal layer sits a black market version. Breach data gets scraped, combined with broker data, and packaged into what's called a fulls file, a complete identity profile with enough information to impersonate you to a call center. In plain terms, your identity doesn't get stolen in one move. It gets assembled piece by piece from multiple leaks until someone has enough of you to convince a stranger they are you. Here's the part they aren't telling you. That assembled profile isn't used to open a fake account in your name first. It's used to attack the one piece of infrastructure that verifies almost everything else you own, your phone number. A SIM swap is when someone convinces your mobile carrier to move your phone number onto a SIM card they control, usually by impersonating you through a customer service call or an online account portal. Once that swap completes, your phone loses signal entirely, and every call and text meant for you now arrives on their device instead. An eSIM swap works on the same principle, but skips the physical card altogether. Think of an eSIM as a SIM card that lives in software instead of plastic. Modern phones let you activate a new line just by scanning a QR code or approving a request inside a carrier app. That convenience is exactly what makes eSIM swapping faster than the old method. There's no card to mail, no store visit required, no physical object to intercept. The attacker requests the eSIM activation. The carrier's verification system approves it based on the stolen identity data, and the number transfers in minutes. In plain terms, SIM swap and eSIM swap are the same crime with 2 different delivery mechanisms, and the software version is quicker precisely because it removes every physical step a carrier used to rely on for verification. Put simply, the vulnerability was never the SIM itself. It's the verification question the carrier asks before moving your number. Last 4 of your social mother's maiden name, date of birth. Those are exactly the data points sitting in the breach file we just talked about. That's how the loop closes. The breach supplies the answers, the broker packages them, and the carrier's own authentication script hands over the number to whoever recites the right facts on the phone. Here is what that actually means for you. The institution built to protect your account access is, in this attack, the exact system being exploited to hand it away. Look at the numbers. The FCC issued rules in 2023 specifically targeting SIM swap and port-out fraud, requiring carriers to strengthen customer authentication before processing a number transfer. That regulatory response didn't happen because this was rare. It happened because carrier call centers were consistently the weakest verification checkpoint in the entire consumer finance ecosystem, and regulators had to force a structural fix. Most people hear this term and move past it. Don't. Because the moment that number is on the attacker's device, your phone doesn't ring anymore. No calls, no texts, no data, total signal loss. And that silence is often the first observable signal something is wrong. Here's the sequence worth understanding, because recognizing the pattern is different from being told what to do about it. First, sudden and complete loss of cellular signal with no explanation, often midday, with no carrier outage reported in your area. Second, a text or email from your carrier confirming a SIM or eSIM activation on a device you don't recognize, sometimes arriving through a secondary channel like a backup email if the attacker hasn't locked you out yet. Third, a wave of login notifications from accounts you didn't touch because the attacker is now using your phone number to trigger password resets across your banking, email, and credit monitoring platforms. Fourth, two-factor authentication codes you never requested, landing on a device you don't control, which means the code isn't landing on yours either. Fifth, password reset confirmations cascading across unrelated platforms within a short window, because SMS-based recovery treats your phone number as proof of identity, and that proof is now compromised. In plain terms, the pattern isn't one bad login. It's a cluster of unrelated accounts destabilizing at the same time, and that clustering is the signature of a number theft in progress, not an isolated hack. Strip away the technical language, and here is what is actually happening structurally. SMS-based two-factor authentication was built on an assumption that your phone number is something only you can access. Account takeover is the point where that assumption breaks and an attacker uses your compromised number to bypass account security rather than crack it directly. That's not a guess. That's how the recovery architecture is coded across most consumer banking and credit platforms. Banks, credit card issuers, and even credit monitoring services default to SMS verification because it's cheap and fast to implement compared to app-based authentication. The data shows how that convenience becomes the exact liability an attacker relies on once your number is in their hands. From there, account draining isn't a separate hack. It's the same stolen number being reused as a master key. Reset the email password using the phone number. Reset the banking password using the email. Approve the wire transfer using the same phone number that now belongs to someone else. Every one of those steps uses legitimate account recovery infrastructure exactly as it was designed to function. The system isn't glitching. It's executing its normal process on behalf of the wrong person. In plain terms, the money doesn't get stolen by breaking into your bank. It gets stolen by walking through the front door your bank built for account recovery. Here's what that actually means for you. Every convenience feature added to make account recovery faster for you is the same feature an attacker uses once they control the one credential tying it all together. That's the full arc: breach, broker, swap, signal cascade, drain. And every link in that chain is a separate institutional system operating exactly as designed, just aimed at the wrong person. The mechanics here trace back to one structural weak point repeated across breach response, data broker regulation, carrier authentication, and account recovery design. Each system trusts the layer before it, and none of them were built assuming that trust would be exploited in sequence. That's the system. Not a glitch, a chain of institutions each performing their job correctly, one after another, on behalf of someone who was never you.